people? Lee Wakefield back here today with a bike video, and today I'm going to show you guys how to fix, replace, or tighten a chain on a bike. This really only goes for the single speed with the one sprocket, because on different speed bikes they already have an auto tension, or it looks like something back here, so if that isn't tightened, make sure that the spring is still working, and stuff like that. But today we're working on a one speed bike, and this chain's worn out, so I got a new one, and this will be a how-to video. So the things you're gonna need are a broken bike, or a non-functional bike, a brand new chain if you're doing the chain replacement, some chain links, what else? No, you don't need a manual. You're gonna need a 5/8 socket and a 3/8 ratchet to go along with that. A chain link decoupler. These are pretty cheap on Amazon. I've had this one forever. It's just some cheap China thing, but it works. And a Phillips head or flathead screwdriver, depending on if your bike has this little chain guard thingy, and you gotta take it off so you can get access to the chain. But let me get you guys on something suitable, and we'll start getting to work. The first thing you're going to need is, of course, all the tools I mentioned, and you're going to need a solid, flat workspace to work on, because, it needs to be flat. You don't want it bumpy, and you want to make sure you also have, let me see, I wasn't prepared. I only got the tools I thought I needed, but you probably also want one of these. A magnetic screw dish, so you don't lose any of your pieces. I had that problem yesterday while taking apart a computer. So it's important to have a magnetic tray to catch all the bits and pieces. But the first thing we're going to be doing is taking the wheel off. And as you can see, this one has fenders right here. And there are Phillips head screws right here. So there's one on each side, so you're going to want to take them off. So, on each side, and then there's one clamp on the top. I just grabbed a crescent wrench because I am too lazy to find the right socket, because I don't want to go looking that long. But there is a nut on this side that, of course, comes off lefty-loosey, righty-tighty way. Come on. There we go. I know some bikes don't have fenders, so this might not be a big issue for you. So, that's just something else that you don't have to worry about. But for this bike, it does have fenders on each wheel, but we'll only be working on the rear wheel today, because I don't have any reason to mess with the front wheel today, because it's full of air and stuff. Oh, there's also a nice screw down there, but I don't know how we'll get that out right now, so we'll just have that out like that. The next thing you're going to want to do is grab your 5/8 socket on your 3/8 ratchet wrench or whatever you got, and make sure it's in the left position. As you can see, I did not check, so make sure it's in the loosened position, known as off, or just the other side of the thing, sometimes. What matters is we got to get the nuts off so then we can take the tire off. next step. Now, this is not on all bikes, but it can be on ones that don't have any handle brakes. As you can see, those are just regular handles. So whenever you go back on the pedal, it stops it. So there is a little thing right here on this sprocket, and with some, I forgot what they call that stuff. I got a bunch of it, but I forgot what it's called. It's in German, so I don't know what it's called either. But you're going to need to take out that flathead screwdriver. As you can see, that also has a nut on it, but I think it's loose enough to where I can just hold it with my finger and loosen it. This is usually on smaller, like kid bikes. You probably won't find this on a mountain bike because I know the new ones have like disc brakes like a car. So yeah, that's kind of cool. But also, I think it would suck if you ever had to replace anything on those bikes because it's probably pretty expensive. Otherwise, take this little clamp thingy off, and you should just be able to lift up the bike, and the tire should fall right, or the wheel should fall right out. So, there you go. As you can see, the bike will probably do that, and I should probably get that all tightened back up again before that completely just rips itself off. Come on. Yeah, let's get that. Yeah, maybe we didn't have to take this all out. I don't know. I did because I thought we had to. This is my first time actually doing anything on this bike. So, yeah, it's new for me too. At least on this bike. I've done many chain tensions and replacements on other bikes, but not this one because I never had to. So, otherwise, this is the part we have to worry about now. Oh, make sure you're still in frame. You're not. Alright. You're still not in frame. Alright, there we go. So the next step is, if you can see, there's this red shield, and we need to take all the Phillips head screws out of it so we can get access to where the chain is. There's usually one on the back and one might be in where these little things are in the pedal gear. Of course, make sure not to lose any of the washers that go to it, and this should just come right off. Put that over there. And now, here's the old chain. Now this is where the link decoupler comes in handy, and you want to make sure not to break that off or it won't work. So, I really hope you guys can see this because this is actually important, so I'll make sure. But, get a close up of this. Alright, so with the chain decoupler, you're going to want to put the, on your camera. Alright, so you're going to want to put the decoupler around this thing, and you're going to want to line it up with one of the pins in there. So then the pin gets pushed. The pin gets pushed out of there, and then the chain will come loose. So I'll be back when that's done. Alright guys, so as you can see, it only took me about 5 seconds, but the pin is no longer in there, and whenever you take this off, it will come into 2 pieces, and you can pull the old chain off. And yep, there it is. So we won't be needing this, so we'll just throw it in the garbage. And now we can get on to fitting the new chain right here. And I'll talk about chain links as well, why we'll need those. But yeah, so what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to wrap it around, make sure you know how it goes, you know, because that's where a lot of stuff happens. Oh. Alright, so make sure you might actually want to put the wheel back on to make sure that you know you're going to do it correctly, because I've seen that before where people don't double check their work and then it comes out completely wrong and then you got to do it all over again, and I'm notorious for doing that, so that's why I really don't want to do that this time. Just want to be done with it and ride my bike. So, you know, yeah, you might have to unwind the chain. So remember, it's literally just little flat pieces of metal. So you want to put it around the little sprocket up there, and then put it around the big sprocket. You can light all this crap up later, it doesn't matter right now. And then once you see that, you want to line it up to the closest one. So that would mean I would probably do that one to right there, because that's all I need on that one. So I'm going to put that back into the link decoupler. Maybe you guys can see this. I hope you can. And plop it right in there. And then give this thing a good old twist. Might have some tension on it. And make sure to catch the pin when it comes out. As you can see, it only takes a few seconds, so it's not very hard, but it does make your life a whole lot easier if you have this tool, because you'll be very happy you did. And here's the pin. This is essentially what holds all of your chain links together on your bike chain. I know it didn't focus, but we're going on a whim here. I'm just doing this all how I know how to do it. There's no scripts or anything. But always save this extra link if you need it. And here is the chain. So we're going to go and put it back on the bike and see if we calculated it correctly of what we needed. Some chains come pre-oiled. I think this one is pre-oiled because I have a lot of oil on my hands now, but it's a good thing to prevent rusting, because that is ultimately how a lot of people's chains go out. So, you know, yeah, it's a shame, but yep, I'm going to put a chain link there. I'm going to show you guys how to do that. So, in your bag of little chain links, I got these from Amazon, just some cheap Chinese ones, doesn't really matter. So you're going to need this piece, this piece, and this piece. And that is correct, I think. We'll find out. So, I'm going to bring you guys to the Jumbotron over here, and we are going to see what happens. So, those two and those two, or yeah, that one and that one need to go together. So, I am going to do that, and I'll be back and I'll just tell you how I did it. Alright guys, so a little update on this, who is it? KMC S1. I'm going to have to deduct some points because this is not a very precision cut and made piece of metal. As this, the little spacer part, is way too thick to go down onto the chain. So then you can also put a snap ring on it to keep it shut, because they're here, let me get it in focus. There are little things right there that these little jaws and this thing need to clamp onto, but this thing just gets in the way of everything and it can't. So I would say it's almost required to have a third-party set of these that are much thinner to actually all fit onto the chain to keep it secure. It's not like the thickness matters because it's just pieces of metal. It's just like a lock, you know. It's just gonna keep it together because that's its job. But yeah, so we did that. Now, after that, you're gonna want to flip the bike over and tighten it up, tighten this chain, and I'll show you guys how to do that. Once you get the chain on both of the sprockets, you want to make sure that you push down and you get the nuts that hold hold the wheel in place. And you just want to hand tighten them for now. You don't need to tighten them down fully just yet, but put them on both sides because this is how you tension your chain. I don't know if you guys can see because my phone is like doing weird stuff, but what you're going to want to do is get your ratchet, put it into tighten mode, and just tighten down only a little bit. Okay, and then what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to push this all the way down and tighten it at the same time. Now this might be a bit intimidating. I mean, it can be sometimes, but it's not that bad. So make sure you have a grasp foot on like the front of the seat and push it down while you tighten this side. And then push it down when you tighten the other side. And push it down when you're going to tighten this side. So you want to make sure it's tight, and that corresponds with being tight too, because that is not going to come off. Now I know you can probably get it tighter if it pops off. I will take another link out, but these are all the ones I took out right now. But now we have to put the whatever little shield thing back on. So I guess we can do it like this. So just get your 12-cent screwdriver and put the screw between the loop and tighten that up. And get the other screw, get the loop part. You might even have to bend it back into shape if yours is a bit old. And put it there. And give them a little tighten. Just like that. Now we're also going to put on the little brake assembly for the emergency brake on this bike. So all that does is, that consists of just putting this thing around like that, getting the screw and putting it through there. And then you may have to actually calculate where it's going to go if yours really did something out of whack like mine did. I don't know why it did that. But you might have to bend it all out again and line up that hole and see if a corresponding one will work. Yeah, I might actually have to do this properly. Since something happened. Yeah, so we have to untighten the wheel. Where did I put the wrench? Oh, put it up there. Yeah, so it's definitely, I would say it's make sure you're certain before you tighten it down, because you may have to move something like this. Yes, yeah, you have to loosen it. Yeah, you have to loosen it all the way to get to the top. Yeah. Yeah, I use a flathead screwdriver for something else, but it can also be good here. So, there, get that about there, and then you can tighten that up after. But, yeah, you know what, I'm just going to fully redo this. You guys don't need to see that. It's just I suck at doing stuff like this, so I'll be back. Alright, guys, so really all it was frustrating. I had to flatten that thing out and get it tightened again. I had to tighten this chain up again. It was really tight whenever I first put it on, but I broke it in, so now it's not. But it does move now. I just got to fix the fender. But the next step is putting the chain guard back on and do it upside down, because that's probably the best way to do it. But you got to put in that screw there and that screw behind there. So once I get done with that, we will move on to the next step. Alright, so now that you got the little cage put back on, now it's just time to give this thing some taps. So it will be in the right spot. It won't rub on the tire, because that's important to, have power and, make sure nothing's hitching on your thing there. And let's see how good it is. Yeah, I gotta fix the fender. But yeah, otherwise, besides the chain shenanigans, I'll go and ride it, and I'll go on it pretty hard, and I'll see what it does. So otherwise, yeah, I call that a pretty good success. But I guess time will tell. So I'm going to get that fender all fixed out, and I'm going to also thank you guys for watching this video. Yeah, I mean, that's about it. We fixed a bike today.